I met Yasmin 5 years ago. I was 20, she was 25. We worked together at the same daycare, up home. When I met her, I remember my first thought was, what a happy child. I used in my mind the word child, even though she was older than me. But through her every word and through her every expression, I saw a child. A kind, mischievous child. I asked the trivialities as we shared our first work shifts. Do you have any siblings? Where are you from? What do you like doing in your free time? When in reality, all I wanted to ask was, can we be friends?
A message from Linda.
Honey, how is the weather?
The weather. I take a look outside the window. The clouds are heavy and grey over the lake we are just passing by. This weather is not the weather Linda is talking about. Linda is asking for the weather at our cabin at the fjord, a couple of hours drive southwest from Oslo. I don't know why I haven't told her about Taimi's message, that I'm going to meet her in Stockholm. I wanted to keep it a secret, my secret. So I told Linda I'd take the bus to the cabin. Get away for some days, take a break, go for some hikes, watch telly. Linda seemed surprised. The cabin is more her place than mine, inherited from her family. She's the one with the memories. I haven't been separated from her since rehab. It's not easy to get away. But she accepted it without asking my sudden need of a long time.
Yasmin and I did become friends, almost immediately. She is easy to love. She is opinionated and at the same time tender, so it was easy to befriend each other. It was so easy, in fact, that here we are, 5 years later, talking on the phone. Me on my way to see my father for the first time in years, but really me also looking forward to spending a weekend with her. To be in her home, the one she's been living in for the last 3 years, since she moved to Sweden after she found a good enough job. I've been listening to Yasmin for 10 minutes, my phone dangerously about to die. She called me as I got off the bus and breathed the fresh evening air of Luleå. Walking and breathing, stretching my legs, hearing her voice. I thought I didn't care about saving my phone's battery anymore. She speaks of what she's planned for a weekend, although she's well aware of the other item in my agenda. Don't worry about it though, it's only a sad couple of hours I'll be seeing him. The rest is only for you and I to catch up.
Well, you don't know how long you're going to be with him.
I do. For the first time in the call, there's silence. So, you were talking about the museum.
Taimi, we can improvise, really. You don't know how long it'll take for you two to catch up.
That's the thing. I do know. I really do know that I'll only see him briefly. Yasmin is the kind of friend who tightens the rope so tight you're forced to surrender to her questions. She doesn't let me off the hook, and in that way, she also resembles a child. Stubborn, repetitive, and impatient. I can imagine her now sitting on her carpet, drinking hot tea. She insists.
Come on. How do you know you'll spend so little time with him?
She is not giving up. She's forcing me to give her something. How do I know? I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I just feel it really deeply. We won't have anything to talk about. It is enough for me if I see him, face to face, for a brief hour or two. I guess, and I am only realizing this right now, I guess I never even thought of spending an entire day with him. But here I am. And the more I look at his face on the phone, the more it becomes real. Or actually, the opposite of real. I am meeting a stranger. I am not meeting my father.
Tina Turner. I mean, who likes Tina Turner? Who is this man? My life is like a book with empty pages where all the people who know me are allowed to write their presence, to write our story into my book of life. Especially Linda. She's drawing me as a man who likes Tina Turner, a man who runs over the neighbor's dog, a very attractive one, not the dog, the neighbor. Pam. She came to visit me at the hospital one day, just when Linda was about to leave. Suddenly, Linda became all jumpy. She insisted on making my bed and stayed. Was that to prevent Pam and I from being alone? Maybe my idea of being kidnapped isn't that wrong after all. You can't start a fire. You can't start a fire without a spark. It was awkward. Pam was standing next to my feet, Linda close to my head, working on my cushion like an obsessed housekeeper. Pam had a strange look on her face, as if she had come to tell me something.
Glad you are better,
she said finally. I just nodded, not being able to speak much at that point. Linda was quick, answering at my place.
Thank you. He's sorry about the inconvenience, that he fainted on your doorstep, and about the dog. He was coming to tell you he'll never bother you again. Ever.
I couldn't remember to have said that, but I was too tired to disagree. Pam laughed bitterly and gave Linda a furious look. Then she left without a word, leaving me with a relieved, chatty Linda. The next day I got a weird voice message from Pam.
It's over then. Have a nice life. Just go fuck yourself.
I haven't dared to ask Linda if Pam was hinting at something else than the dog episode. Sometimes imagination is better than reality.
I look at my phone. 5% battery. Pitch dark outside the train station and a light nearby. Istanbul Kolgrid, it reads in neon. Hour and a half until my night train arrives. I am hungry and I want a beer. How far can I go with 5% battery? I'm tempted to tell Yasmin, spending the last breaths of my phone, about how silly I feel. During these years, especially as she has moved far away from the small town where we met, especially as we couldn't travel to each other during the pandemic, we have weaved a tight friendship, a web of confessions, sadness, and happiness. I feel at home with her. That is why I want to tell her that I feel not only silly, but childish as well for booking this trip on an impulse. Because, I want to tell Yasmin, the first thing I thought when I saw his face earlier on my phone was the thought I have been having for the last 11 years. Good luck to you. I'm far removed. But instead of telling her all this, I just say, Jesus, Yasmin, I'm telling you, we'll probably have nothing to talk about.
You're doing this thing again, Taimi.
What thing?
You're making excuses.
Sorry. A man is quickly moving his foot away from mine, turns around, smiles. It hurts, but I just nod. He is obviously struggling to store a huge backpack over the seats next to me on the other side of the corridor. Then he's cleaning the seat from crumbs for another young man who is carrying a baby in a sling, asleep. They both move gently, whispering tenderly to each other. Suddenly, a burping sound, and both men are vying with each other to gently wipe the child's face first. I try to hide my curious looks. There is something about their mutual attentiveness, their shared moment of affection for the sleeping child, that touches me. Did I ever wipe Taimi's face? Her whole life is like a wiped disc to me. She must have been so upset when I left our family and moved to Norway. She was 15, maybe already lost in the transition from secure childhood to the chaos of the adult world. Linda told me that I reached out sometimes, but then gave up over the years. She refused any contact with me. According to Linda, this is Amanda's fault. My ex-wife must have painted me as the beast, leaving traces of devastation in its mindless hunger of lust and excess. Maybe I am. At least, Taimi refused any of my approaches. My phone is not showing any messages between us, nor does my email, just nothing. For years. I didn't get in touch with her after my cardiac arrest. It took me weeks to even get back my speech, weeks before I was able to walk, months before I could go to the grocery store, remember what to buy, and even remember the way back home. I still don't know who I am. Then suddenly her message, "Shall we just meet?" My hands went all sweaty. "Yes, of course," I texted. Read it. Cursed. Stupid, of course. Of course. I didn't have the courage to correct. I would have had to tell her about the brain injury, and this whole thing is complicated enough. Father and daughter, together again. My hands are sweaty again, and I really have to go to the restroom while the steady, gentle rocking of the train slowly brings us closer to one another. Just call my name, I'll be there in a hurry. You don't have to worry, 'cause baby there ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, baby.
I've managed to keep Yasmin in the line while simultaneously asking for a beer and a pizza at the bar. Next to me, there's a plug. Everything is fluorescent and it smells strongly of oregano, curry, melted cheese, and fried meat. As I sit and plug my phone, Yasmin tells me about also seeing her father a couple of weeks from now. She's doing this thing again too. She's so careless sometimes. But luckily, now she reads my silence well. Maybe today I don't want to hear about happy families. It's complicated to see my father.
I know.
We say goodbye for now. In front of me, a man has been sitting at the bar. He was here already when I arrived. He's wearing a thick coat, even if it's not cold at all inside. I realize he's also been speaking on the phone. More accurately, he's on a video call, smiling all the time and nodding, interrupting occasionally. He bites his kebab hungrily and takes a sip of his beer. I can't see any luggage beneath the bar table, yet he seems in transit, going somewhere. Yet he sounds as if he's home. Relaxed, happy, laughing in complicity at whatever he's hearing.